I'm calling in the creator to the CEO who crave creating community and cash to create it like a boss. With me, Katrina Julia, as your host, multi-passionate entrepreneur, creator, and CEO who has walked from fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, and continues to, with experience in 7+ industries, 7,000+ creators and startups, to creators to Fortune 500 brands, including Google, NBC, Victoria's Secret, and more. If you are ready to create it like never before in faith, wellness, wealth, marketing, business, travel, and more, this is the show for you. If this is your time to have freedom in all forms as you create it like a boss, let's create it. Welcome to an episode of Create It With Me. I am super excited to start this series. It's similar to my snapshots, that is a shorter episode, but you get real behind the scenes looks on how I'm literally creating it, whether it's that day or another day that I'm recapping. And today I am taking you behind the scenes on my day first from yesterday. And then the next episode, I'm going to take you behind the scenes from today. So, as I invite you guys to create it with me in the community, if you're tuning in for the first time, I want you to know I 100% invest in myself all the time. Definitely check out some of my blogs and shows where I talk about over 10 different communities where I've invested in myself, from strategic coach, an annual mastermind, to Herbalife nutrition and events and trainings, to Marie Forleo's B School, and most recently Time Genius, Social Curator with Jasmine Star, and numerous others throughout the years. I am an avid believer of education, both formal and informal. Although if I was graduating from high school right now, I likely would have already had my own business in high school and likely would not have gone to college, which probably would freak my parents out. But then again, many things I do freak them out. So shout out to mom if you're listening, because she often listens to my podcast and YouTube channel. So yesterday, so after completing Time Genius last week with Marie Forleo and diving in deep, it's like your soul knows what it knows. And I knew it was time to fully align my time and that I was on the verge. And there's no accident that my word for this year is worthy. So definitely listen to that episode if you haven't yet. And so many things have been clearing out of the way. So thank you, God. So many things have been realigning. And it's like compound interest with time. So how we talk about compound interest with money, time is the only renewable resource. Or non-renewable resource, I said that backwards, is the only non-renewable resource. And although I believe, back to scripture, a day is like 1,000 years and 1,000 years is like a day. At the same time, in the natural, I can't get back today, right? And I can get back money. So I digress. But in any event, the word worthy. So last year, the year before, as my word was, I'm divinely disciplined, so many things were coming up with, I was realizing like, oh, I'm being or doing this because I don't believe I'm worthy. And where does this come from? Let me pull the string. Let me dig deep all the way back to childhood. I completed last year an inner child workbook that I highly recommend. You can find Inner Child Workbook on Amazon. Let me tell you the author again, because I am blanking right now. I think it's Catherine something. Hold on. Inner Child Workbook. I took it over the year. So I gave myself the freedom and the space and the grace, because it literally is a workbook. And then this year, I started off with the book Complex PTSD by Pete Walker. So Inner Child Workbook, I was right, is Catherine Taylor. It is amazing. So back to yesterday and Time Genius. So as I was realigning my time, as I was recognizing even more where there is self-sabotage or derailing or lack of focus, I rearranged my week to hyper focus on my top three priorities, my first, my primary, and then the secondary ones on a day by day basis, so that by Wednesday, I've massively accelerated the progress on the top three things in the business, right? So, for example, as we're diving deep into yesterday first in this episode, yesterday, as I was finishing Time Genius, I've been using a tracker. Like I have been the same way I've been tracking on my dashboard personally and professionally metrics, I am now holding myself to accountability on my time in 30-minute increments. Because when we look at our time, we really start to see where we are self sabotaging and derailing. And I found over 20 to 30 hours a week easily because I realized how one of my quote unquote go tos in self sabotage, and this didn't start until like 2021 or 22, and it really didn't accelerate until some of the cold seasons last year. And when my hormones were going cray, which check out my episodes on insight on perimenopause and whatnot, is binging on Netflix. Like I had never watched series, I had never done different things. So I was already praying on removing this temptation. And what's interesting is now I'm in Egypt. And as I'm in Egypt, I purposely got a internet plan with my Airbnb host beyond the free Wi-Fi they provided that is limited to 150 megabytes for the month, which is still a lot. Like it's still a ton. However, it's not the 250 megabyte plan. And so I knew I was not going to watch Netflix because I knew that would eat up my data. So that was a way to set up myself for success. Okay. So that's one thing on how I found 20 plus hours a week, because I realized even one movie a day on Netflix versus reading a book is roughly about 21 hours. That's like a part-time job. So I was like, no, 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 we're going to rearrange this. And you guys, last night I went to sleep at 9, which is another thing that's helping me with sleep. So yesterday, I woke up at 7:30 Egyptian time, which, to give you perspective, is 30 minutes after midnight on East Coast. So 5 a.m. club, I have you beat. Your girl is waking up at midnight, 1 a.m. So that's another reason why I love traveling, because I legit feel like I have 3 to 5 days in one day now. So my intention that I set for the day is this was Monday. This was yesterday as of my recording. I am creating and receiving $40,000 to $100,000 months with creators to CEOs who love to pay me with ease, love, and grace. Okay, that was my intention. I completed my Sacred 7 morning over about an hour to an hour and a half with typically 7-minute increments. Now I've refined it to a 7 by 7, similar to like my 7 steps to success is 7 by 3. So it's 7 minutes of listening to my affirmations and or stating them, 7 minutes of prayer and tea, 7 minutes of breath work and EFT, emotional freedom technique, 7 minutes of a positive message, 7 minutes of movement, 7 minutes of journaling, and 7 minutes of typically eating. Let's see. And music. So I added in dancing yesterday as well. So the tea, I do intermittent fasting. So it's typically tea. And like today, I didn't have my shake until like 11 on purpose. So that was my morning. And then I stretched and I did stretching and fasted cardio. And it was really weird. I started to feel really nauseous. And normally when I'm in warm environments, I never get sick. And I recognized, to me, immediately, I was like, wait a minute. I've just rearranged my time to focus on my primary project all day. So is it really an accident that all of a sudden I'm feeling nauseous? So anytime your body feels like something and it's connected to something, and especially when you're about to do something unknown, like really unknown or new or just whatever, or whatever the activity is, pay attention and like do an inventory with yourself as far as self-awareness. I've been doing that more and more and more and seeking divine downloads. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is connected to my worthiness. This is connected to self-sabotage. No, no, no. I'm not accepting being sick. I'm not inviting this in. Please, God, don't let this turn into full on blown vomiting. And I felt prompted in my spirit, you guys, which I've never done this before, this part. I felt prompted in my spirit to Google what can help me get rid of nausea fast. And what's weird is I didn't wake up with nausea. So usually if I'm nauseous, I wake up with it. Like if it's a food thing or whatever, right? Like the last time that happened in Bulgaria. So I Googled, and what's interesting is lately I've been feeling really compelled to oils. And I had invested in a peppermint oil at a local pharmacy here in Sal Hashish in Hurghada, in lavender oil for the evenings, and in sandalwood for the daytime and for hormone rebalancing. And it's, you guys, my energy has been through the roof with those three combos. I'm doing peppermint in the morning, sandalwood midday, and lavender at night typically. And so when I was Googling this, peppermint was coming up, that it massively helps. And to put the oil on a cold compress and put it on your forehead and neck and just let it sit there for a minute. And typically most people in this article, so I'm not promising these results, but this is what happened to me. And I believe that it could happen for me, key point. And that it said that within 30 minutes, the nausea was completely gone. So I did just that. I put a cold compress, the peppermint oil, put it on my forehead, put it on the back of my neck, around my neck, and drank peppermint tea, kept focusing because the nausea wasn't full blown, but my stomach was definitely off the chain. And you guys, within 30 minutes, I felt better. Okay. Then I continued on my primary project, which is to focus on aligned brand work in CFO/CMO, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Marketing Officer type work, whether that is advising in business to business to consumer launches, influencer marketing, social media, etc. And you guys, the flow from 9 to 11:30 was real. And I set the intention also for that day to complete over $1 million in proposals. And I did exactly that. Like it was like 1.2. So I even exceeded it. Okay. And in my Creator to Cash course, I talk a lot about these resources and tips, tools, and tech and ways to do it with pitches and whatnot. But just to give you an idea from yesterday specifically, I found I went through platforms like Dynamite. I went through platforms like Brain Trust. I went through platforms like Indeed. And I found incredible opportunities through TikTok, through Influential, through Airbnb, through Nike, and several others. You guys, it was crazy. So literally what I did is I shut down all my tabs. If you're a tab collector, you know what I'm talking about on your computer. I'm learning how to shut more down step by step or pull them away from each other. I focus solely on that task, and literally within that, let's see, 1, 2, 3 hours, the result was $1.2 million in aligned proposals with companies I would love to work with, versus focusing an hour and then going to another task and then another task. I was concentrating my energy even more. And what's interesting is I thought, like, a month ago where I was doing like 1 hour on that task, 1 hour on the next one, and the other, I was like, I'm still making, progress. But when I was tuning in and learning and listening, I realized, you know what? This does make more sense, because then like on day 1 of the week, I've already like hit more than like I would sometimes hit in a month previously. So if you haven't listened to my YouTube video and or on the podcast on how to find over $500,000 a day in opportunities, definitely tune in to that too. So then I took I had a shake and a shower. So this is Create It With Me, right? Then I tried calling my brother because it was his birthday. So shout out to my brother. Then I felt massively better, which was cray cray, right? Like the turnaround from my nausea. And I checked in with my body, like, am I pushing it or is it too much? And it was like, no, like I felt better than I had like the day before. So I went out to, there's 7 different pools in this compound. And I went to one pool and my intention was to like relax, to do some breath work, to do some EFT. And I went to one pool and it was beautiful. And at the pool, they had like some water trickling into the water. So the sounds of water was amazing. But then some people came and started playing some super loud music on their phone and boombox that was not aligned. So I was like, I can either get mad and frustrated or I can pick my happy butt up and walk to one of the other 7 pools. So guess what Katrina did? She got up immediately, walked, didn't say a word, didn't make a face, and found a pool that was empty, quiet, peaceful. Finished and did some breath work, EFT, did a band workout by the pool, relaxed fully, definitely gave my body some love. Came back to my Airbnb within the Azura Red Sea and set up and cleared my next folder, which I have a folder in my inbox called Next. So I always intentionally focus on having my inbox cleared. However, with that, I also use an incredible tool called Trimbox and Boomerang that only delivers my emails during a certain time, and that I can immediately unsubscribe when I see an email in the inbox. Because also what I've recognized over the last week or two, like I love to learn, you guys. However, I recognize, wait a minute, I have more growth emails coming in than cash. That's a problem. I have more growth emails coming in than community. That's a problem. I'm spending sometimes more time. And even though I now force myself to wait till typically after 4, because I do create before I consume, to have focus on growth, I realize, wait a minute, that still is at a balance. And that still indicates the belief that they're more worthy than I am. And I need to shift, or I get to shift, that I create more than I consume. So you can see how that's completely shifting so much. So, with that, I have a folder that's called Next, beyond the inbox. I cleared that. I cleared the scale box, communicated with my VA on some new things. I reorganized my inbox intentionally, not only diminishing, because then I went through growth for about an hour, clearing. Even stuff that I had saved, I was like, nope, this is no longer pertinent. Nope, I'm no longer going to spend time on this. Nope, this isn't my priority. It's okay to let it go. I reorganized my inbox with the first focus, celebrates, the second focus, community, which includes the one-on-one VIP clients, brands, etc., one-on-ones that I'm currently still doing. And then like courses and launches, and then what I call my growth VIP, which is 2 to 4 growth communities that I'm labeling as a VIP that I focus on the most after 2 or 4 o'clock, when I've created more than I've consumed. And then the rest of them are underneath after a series of other things that are more important and prioritized. Okay. So then I aligned my social media with series to tie to creator to cash. I posted 2 posts on a story and on a credibility, which I was featured on Bold Journey via Voyage ATL, referred me to that media opportunity. So shout out to Voyage ATL, shout out to Bold Journey. Definitely check them out. And then I aligned and updated and ClickUp my next post coming up with things like Larnaca, dancing, typing to tell you offers, etc. I completed a CPE course. If you didn't know, I am a CPA, and I am completing my current license requirements as well to keep that updated. I tried my brother and my mom again. We played some phone tag or voice message tag, and then I started winding down around 8, you guys. So this was all done with me waking up at your time, about 12:30, after 30 minutes after midnight or 1 a.m. East Coast, if that's where you're listening from. My time about 7:30, and I was done with a lot of flex and free time at 8, and nothing, I mean, very little was wasted and very little was quote unquote derailed. Like, for example, I've been contemplating staying in Egypt longer, another month or another week or two. However, when I was reading online, I found that I have to go to the Hurghada office and I might have to wait hours and want. I know that's first world problems and I know that's a privilege. So trust me, I get it. But then I started thinking like, Bali keeps beckoning me, literally. And do I really want to spend anywhere from, between getting in there and waiting on a best case scenario might be, an hour to 2 hours. On a worst case scenario, I might be there like half the day. Do I really want to do that? Or really is it calling me to go to Bali next? And I recognize that. However, between yesterday, maybe 20, 30 minutes, and then today, 20, 30 minutes, I caught myself exploring plane tickets for Bali and the visa for Bali and the visa for Abu Dhabi, because I would be flying through Abu Dhabi and staying for 2 days for free, courtesy of Iliad Airways. And I caught myself after 20 minutes, Katrina. This is me talking to myself. Katrina, stay present. Katrina, yes, you're grateful to be in Egypt. You do not have to buy the plane ticket right now on January 30th. You have plenty of time. You will still get the best price. Maybe, just maybe, you'll even get a collaboration because I emailed Iliad Airways and I plan on emailing Bali Tourism. So I was like, hold your horses, girl. Because I recognize that's another self-sabotaging behavior that when we do that and we're planning so much for the future, we're not present in the moment necessarily. And then I realize, and we're giving away our money sooner than we need to. So this is me talking about me. So I hope you enjoyed this episode that went a little bit longer than I intended, but that's okay. I hope you enjoyed it on Create With Me and what I did and how I did it. And then stay tuned for the next episode where I'm going to talk about Create With Me, but today specifically on Creator to Cash. This is for you, dear Creator to CEO. If you want to create cash VIP style. If you feel like no matter how hard you try, you can't create wealth, you're not alone. Despite the great resignation and increasing entrepreneurship, stats and studies show that 80% of women entrepreneurs make less than $100,000. With a staggering amount of women creators to CEOs feeling the same way, it may only mean one thing. Our approach gets to change from a creator to a CEO. We get to increase our worth, our wonder, and our wealth. Creator to Cash with 7 ways to make 7K in 7 days will help you do just that. So you want to know all about the VIP experience? You are not alone, dear friend. In the VIP experience, you get a intimate initial 2+ week experience. You get a pre-experience assessment with a value of over $3,000. You get a marketing and money audit with over a value of over $3,000 right when you join in. You get a private initial one-on-one sesh with me and or the community to dive into the results and breakthroughs from those assessments and for us to really get to know each other. You get an incredible creator to cash roadmap. You get tips, tools, and tech with an incredible templates, with a dashboard, with a scorecard, and project management step by step that outlines these 7 ways to make 7K in 7 days that you get to rinse and repeat over and over and over again. Value easily over hundreds of thousands of dollars as you create it. Because imagine you create potentially even 7 different products within a year, and you get to even 7K in 7 days, 7 times. That's 50 plus K. And that is saying that you are aligned, you are acting, and you are taking action. Plus, you get everything in the 7 ways to make 7K online course with lifetime access, including my ongoing updates. Plus, you get the 7 ways to make 7K in 7 days workbook and audio. That alone is another value of easily over $7,000. You get another private session with me and or the community within the first 14 days to cover the creator to cash roadmap and the tips, tools, and tech. Plus, you get Create It Monthly for 7 months. Plus, you get transformation toolkits for 7 months. And I'm running an incredibly amazing beta deal that is not $7,000, which would still easily be less than 10% of the value, but it's $3,500 for all of that. On top of that, we are also partnered with Afterpay. So you get to also, depending on your own current circumstances, you get to align with Afterpay in order to finance that as well. I can't wait to see you create it. Depending on where you are at as a creator, you may love my 7 ways to make 7K in 7 days immersive and interactive experience with the workbook. And or the 7 ways to make 7K in 7 days course where you get lifetime access and you get to rinse and repeat the results over and over and over again. Check it out in www.bit.ly/create it like a boss. All the chats on faith, wellness, money, marketing, business, and travel so you create a life and business you already. Head on over to the blog, the podcast, and the freebies to jumpstart your transformation. If you're ready to dive into the online courses, the live events, or the retreat, and if you want to create with our community on an even deeper level, definitely check out our internships, our influencer collaborations, management, and brand engagement. Let's create it.